Welcome to Boss Radio Live. Welcome to Boss Radio Live. This is your host, NJ. So glad that you all are joining me. Today, we will have an amazing guest. We will have Kim Rahir on the line with us today. Really excited to have Kim with us. Kim is an amazing speaker. She is an MS advocate, and Kim is a weightlifting champion. So we're going to hear more about that. That's going to be a very interesting story. So really can't wait to hear that. Make sure you all share the episode. Make sure you share today's episode. And in case you have never heard of Kim, here's a little bit more about her. Kim Rahir, a speaker, MS advocate, and weightlifting champion. Once a journalist, after receiving a devastating diagnosis of multiple sclerosis, or MS, over 11 years ago, Kim fell into a place of darkness, but she refused to remain there. She literally muscled her way out of illness and into a weightlifting championship. She now helps women in their midlife who are dealing with a host of health symptoms by building muscle and strength. Kim believes that a focus on strengthening muscle can boost confidence and be a powerful driver of self-care and empowerment because it puts you in a spirit of building and nurturing. Kim encourages women to reactivate muscle and tap into an abundant source of vitality. So everybody, welcome Kim Rahir to the show. And Kim, I think I'm saying your name wrong, so please correct me. Can you hear me, Kim?
I can hear you. It's not a big deal. It's Rahir. It's a weird name. It's from my Belgian husband, because I'm a good old German, you know. It's not a very German name, but it's okay. Kim is fine, and that's easy to say. Thanks for having me, Michelle.
Kim Rahir. Yes, so we're going to get that right. So, Kim, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on the show. One, because like our time zones are completely different. So it was really funny even getting to this point that you are on the show with us. So thank you for working with me through that. So yes, glad to have you on.
Yeah, it's also absolutely amazing, right, that we can sort of talk like this and connect across the ocean, different continents and everything. I find that very, very inspiring and really one of the really nice sides of technology.
Yes, and I really wanted to have you on because of the topic that you're going to be speaking about today for a couple of different reasons. One is your totally amazing journey that we're going to get into, right? But also just to speak about more about MS as well. And so let's jump right into that. I really would like to jump right into that and let's talk about your journey and how you got from being in a wheelchair to being a weightlifting champion. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and if you said muscular, it's probably because of my story. I'm all about muscle. I'm crazy about muscle, and I think muscle will could can save our health, improve our health for everybody. So
Yeah.
you're probably already quite indoctrinated by just reading about me and what I share all the time. So when I was diagnosed with MS in 2013, but I have quite a history before that. I had an autoimmune disorder, which is a one-off. That was I had in 2008 already. It comes and it goes. It has a difficult name. It's called a syndrome Guillain-Barré. It was named after the French doctors who discovered it, and it knocked me for six from one day to the next. From literally from one day to the next, I was picking up my kids from school and I was seeing double, and I knew I had to see a doctor. Sent me to the hospital. I spent 6 weeks in hospital, and my eyes were crossed, and I noticed that my legs were sort of leaving me. I lost the control of my legs. And after 3 weeks in hospital, I was paralyzed from the hips downward. I could not wiggle a toe, which was so, so scary. Um, and they gave me all kinds of treatments, and one of them must have worked because I could sort of gain the use of my legs back. But the scary part was actually that they didn't really know what was going on with me, because the double vision is like sort of one syndrome, and then the paralysis is another syndrome. It was very interesting to find myself in hospital wishing for a diagnosis. I mean, something that you would in normal life you would never say, "Oh my God, please let it be something." But you get so scared with the uncertainty that you think, "No, let it be. Give me some clarity, give me some answers." But it took months and months until they decided it was this one-off syndrome. So took me like 6 months to learn walking again. I gained sensitivity back in my legs. Still felt weird sometimes, but I was getting better. Got treatment, and then I was told that I was cured, that this was a one-off and it would never come back. And then 2 years later, I felt my left hand going numb, and I knew from the sensation that something was wrong. Went to the doctor again, and they said, yeah, this time it's different. This time it's an attack of your immune system on the white matter in your nerves, and it's MS. And that was like a really low blow, because the first experience had already been quite traumatic. Just imagine 3 small kids at home. You have a full-time job, you're like really living life to the fullest, and then you're out from one day to the next. And then after 3 weeks, you can't even go to the toilet on your own. That was quite traumatizing and dehumanizing, actually. And then I had been given that clean bill of health, and I thought, yes, 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 now I'm going to make the most of life. And then bang, the second blow, I had MS. And that meant also lifelong treatment, which I, of course, fought the doctor because I didn't want it. I thought, no, I just sort of got my power back after not being able to walk and being in like a vegetable in the hospital. And now, I'm going to be hooked up to like lifelong treatment with medication. I didn't want that. And I fought with a doctor for close to an hour, and he was not used to this at all. He was just sort of writing down the prescription, wanted to send me on my way. When I said, hang on, can we please talk about this? Um, but I had to give in. They scare the living daylights out of you. So, if it's MS, if anything can happen. You could end up in a wheelchair. You could end up blind. It can sort of attack any part of your nervous system. So I had to start injecting myself. But what I did, I asked him about exercise, and his answer was not very clear. He said something like, "Yeah, you can exercise, but be careful." But I talked to a nurse, the one who taught me how to inject myself, and she said exercise is great for MS. It makes you fatigue resistant, and fatigue is a big problem for MS patients. So, and I just had my left hand that is numb to this day, by the way. Otherwise, I was mobile. I could walk. I could move normally, which I really appreciated after that hospital experience. And I decided I was going to go to the gym, and I was going to get insanely strong. I cannot tell you where this urge came from. I think it was because of this powerlessness in the hospital because of this sense of betrayal that you can't really trust your body because it's doing weird things to itself. And I think that's where this came from. And I started training, I started lifting heavy. I got this book from the guys, I think they were one of the first that said women should lift heavy too. Ditch the pink dumbbells and lift heavy. And I got strong so fast. I got better so fast. I had lost reflexes, in the inflammation in the nerves and everything. Doctors had told me those reflexes, they will never come back, and they did. And the most important change was my mental health, because I became so confident, so positive, so optimistic, just by lifting heavy stuff and feeling strong. Um, and then after a few years of injecting myself, we had moved. I live in Spain now. I had a Spanish neurologist who saw me, and he said, if you want to, you can stop your treatment. And I said, hell yes, I want to. That was 7 years ago. And I've been without treatment and without relapse ever since. That was also the time when I thought maybe, just maybe, I'm onto something. Not a cure for MS, but a very simple protocol that can sort of lift you out of dark and low times and make you feel so much better. And I think the mental health then reflects on your physical health, and it becomes a virtuous cycle.
Wow. So you said a lot, and so I want to dig into different parts of that, because let's talk about the mindset, which I think listening to your story was very important. So from the moment that you got diagnosed to that moment where you started, you were talking about reading, and then you were talking about what you were thinking as you began to work out. What was that mindset change that happened there? What
Um,
was it at the beginning, and what did it shift to?
yeah. When I think about the days and weeks when I was first diagnosed, the word that always comes to my mind is darkness, actually. It was also winter, which plays a role, 100%, but it felt very dark. I was never a person who had a very precise plan for the future. Like some people that say, "Oh, at 25, I want to get married, and I want a house, and I want kids," and they have this precise plan. I'd never had this, but still, I had an idea of who I wanted to be, how I wanted to live. And when you get a diagnosis like this whole idea is just replaced with a big question mark, and it's very, very scary and dark. And you just, with MS, you don't know where you're going. It's different for every single patient. And I realized that if I looked at the big picture, and if I thought even thoughts about the future, they would just scare me to death, because it was so uncertain, so unclear. And you can easily get scared and worked up about stuff, that's not happened, and that might never happen. But you're just imagining things that, that could happen to your body. And this kind of fear also paralyzes you, because you then think, oh my God, is this worth doing? Because I don't even know if I'll be able to do it next week. So I decided that I was just going to focus on every single day, just one day at a time. There was a bit of denial in this too, but I think it was very healthy for me. I just didn't want to see what was coming. I was going to spend as much time, as much quality time with my 3 kids as I could. I wanted to be with them. I wanted to have fun with them, to do things with them. And I was just going to focus on, what can I do on this day? What can I do today? Because today is here and we can deal with it, and I can handle things. And depending on how I felt, and I got better so quickly that it was it became easier and easier to just look at the day and think, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And I think that's a big shift in my mindset when I realized there's absolutely no benefit in thinking about the future. Just focus on what you can do today and what you can do now.
Oh, that's a great point, actually. And I think that keeps you from going into that unknown space that you were talking about, wondering about the unknown. So, and you even hit on the mental health piece, which that's like a passion of mine for us to really be mindful of like our mental state, where we really are, and taking care of ourselves, our mental health. And so for yourself, you were talking about how you believe the exercise really helped that. Um, but were you doing anything else at that time as well, as far as your mental health was concerned?
Yes. Yes, I discovered meditation. I started meditating. Um, I used, still use today. I mean, I've been doing this for 13 years now, I think, or maybe no, not the anyway, for a long time. An app called Headspace. At the beginning, it was just like one English guy, and I think now it's like a huge global thing, and they've evolved and evolved and evolved, and it helped me a lot, especially this focusing on the present. And this is not my idea. I don't know where I heard it, but I heard someone say that, our mind is all the time traveling in a time machine, we're always going back and forth and thinking, oh, this happened, and oh, will this happen, or what's going to happen, and oh, I remember when that happened. So our mind is always like really in this crazy time machine, whereas our body only really has the here and now. So when we sort of connect with our body, when we focus in our mind on what's going on in my body, I'm just, I'm sitting here, I'm breathing, stuff like this. We can bring the mind back to the present. It's actually much simpler as many people think. Many people have this idea of meditation is like this very elaborate thing where you have to sort of get into a trance and stuff. It's not that at all. It's just, you're just bringing your mind back to the presence of your body, and you watch your breath, and it's incredibly beneficial. So that helped me a lot with this mindset shift to like trying and really live just what's now, and not worry too much about tomorrow.
Excellent. Yes, I love that. I love it. Okay, awesome. So now let's get on to this weightlifting, because I love this. I love this. So now you don't only do this for yourself, but you help people with weightlifting, and you building muscle. So tell us about that, and tell us about how you became a champion at
Yeah.
this as well.
Um, so I went to commercial gyms, and I lifted in a style that is basically called powerlifting. So, you do deadlifts and squats and bench presses and stuff like that. And we moved to Spain, and I always signed up for the gym first to make friends, to, sort of get my bearings. And I worked with a personal trainer, and one day he said, "Would you like to try Olympic weightlifting?" Uh, and I said, would I like to try Olympic weightlifting? I had this memory of my dad and I watching the Olympic Games when I was a kid. And those were like very overweight men, hairy, in weird leotards, lifting barbells overhead.
Mhm.
That was my memory of this. But I thought, yeah, well, that's interesting. Yeah, let's give that a shot. And I tried it. I sucked at it. Like, it's so incredibly difficult, but I was hooked, because it takes your everything. When it comes to mindfulness and being present, you cannot approach that bar and think about am I going to cook for dinner, because then it's not gonna happen. You really need full focus, because it's physical strength and it's also technique, and it's something that I love, which is lifelong learning. You never, it's not like you nail a lift and then you're always going to do it in the same way. It never comes out the same way because it's explosive. So, depending on how well you slept or how your neurons are firing on that day, it might work, might not work. I loved it so much that I left the commercial gym and joined a pure weightlifting club. And after 2 weeks of training with them, they said, "Hey, Kim, great that you're training with us. Do you want to compete?" And I said something at the time that I would never say today, but I said, "Compete? Do you know how old I am?" Because I was 55. And they said, "We don't care." And I loved that. And I said, "Okay, why not? Let's try that." And I remember my very first competition, that was a local meet. I thought I was going to cry all the time, not because I was sad or scared or nervous. It was just the emotion was so powerful. All the stuff that you go through, it's like scary and exhilarating and exciting and inspiring and adrenaline, rushing through your body. And then you step out on that platform and all the eyes are on you. And it was you really feel yourself live when you do that. You feel so alive. So I've been competing ever since, like for 5 years now. And what I do with my clients is strength training. So, they don't have to throw barbells around. That would be a bit crazy. Actually, my real, what I call my zone of genius is actually that I can get you to strength train no matter where you are at, because we all have this idea, oh my God, I have to go to the gym and I have to pump iron, or I have to do these weird machines. And that's absolutely not the case. I can, build a program for you that takes you 15 minutes a day that you do at home in your pajamas if you want to. And that will get you stronger and stronger and stronger. And this is a really important aspect because I work mainly with women who are in their 40s and beyond. And the idea of, signing up for a gym and spending an hour training, it's totally unrealistic for them. And if you can just do this first thing in the morning, quickly, 15 minutes, and you're done, then it becomes doable. It becomes accessible. It becomes less intimidating. And then with the results that you're getting, and you're going to get them like within 2 weeks, sometimes it goes so fast. You create that virtuous cycle, that momentum where you realize, oh, I'm doing just a very short routine, but it's giving me big results. So that's great. Let's keep doing that. And this sort of foot in the door where you have to start doing something and making that as easy as possible, as accessible as possible, as short and simple as possible. I think that's the way we can help people get started. People that otherwise would think, oh my God, this is too much. I have so much on my plate. This is too much for me. So make it small, make it doable, and focus on what you can do in the moment and do that, and then go from there.
Awesome. Now I heard you say something, Kim, and you said that you told the people in the powerlifting club that you were too old, and I heard you say an age that I'm not even believing right now, because you said something about 55, I think you said, and then you started talking about how that was so many years ago. So number one, you look great.
Thank you so much.
But the other thing I want to say then is what, because you concentrate, but I'm sure that's not your sole focus, but I know you concentrate on people who are like in midlife. But what would you say if someone's saying that same thing that you said, like, oh, I'm too old to start this, or, because, I'm right around there. I'm like right in that age that you're talking about. And so, what would you say to someone who said that?
Well, I know from my own experience that it's never too late. And I think, this is also the reason why I keep sharing my story, because I definitely was at a point in my life where I didn't even know if I was going to be able to walk again. And life has shown me that it's never too late. we just need to move away from thoughts about what we should be able to do, or what we would like to be able to do, or what everybody else does, and focus on just one thing. What can you do today? I don't care. You're 55, you're 92, you're 110. What can you do today? We figure that out. And if that's maybe just a little wall push up, or for like a really older person, it could just be learning to get up, out of a chair or something like this. We just figure out what can you do today, and we start from there and we build from there. So we let go of all ideas and stereotypes and shoulds. Shoulds are never helpful. And focus on whatever it is that we can do. And I wasn't raised in this mindset. I was very much raised in a sort of all or nothing thinking. Like, if it wasn't perfect, then it was not really worth it. And through my experience, I know, well, you have dodgy knees. Okay, we work around that. You have a stiff shoulder, we do something else. We look after your entire body. We sort of circumvent the problems. But anybody can do something today. And the most important part, and that's also why I have this 15-minute concept, the most important part is to actually do it. Because that's, most people know what to do. Most people know that they should go for walks, and that they should eat vegetables, and that they should probably do some kind of resistance training. That's not difficult. The information is everywhere. But how do you actually do that? And that's where, people need help to get started, and then to realize, oh, I can actually do this. That's fine.
Wow. That's awesome. And thank you for that extra motivation, because we do kind of get in our heads and we're thinking, because I have the age and the dodgy knees. So I have a couple of those issues going on. So thank you personally for that. So what is the best way? And I think you even said it, but if you wanted to expand on that a little more, because you said, what can you do today? So is that what you would say would be the best way to think about how to get started in all of this? Or do you want to give some more information about how someone can just how can they just get started? What can they do?
If you have a pretty good idea of, where you are at, if you don't have this thinking, oh my God, like my knees, they are achy, I can't do anything. Um, you can start with gentle movements. You can start by walking more. You can start by doing some calisthenics, like just body weight exercises. And it could be, sitting down, getting up from a chair repeatedly, just to work your muscles a little bit. The best way, if you want to be serious and if you want to be safe, is to have someone assess you, look at how you move, and then tell you what would be a great point for you to start. But if you're just listening now and you're thinking, what could I do right now? No, take a walk around the block. Have a glass of water. Maybe just get down on the floor and get back up. Do that 5 times. That's already something that will sort of take you out of this sedentary lifestyle that most of us are actually forced into. It's not like, yes, we are inherently not lazy, but we don't really want to expend our energy, because mankind has evolved, needing to save energy, to eat as much as we can, and to move as little as possible in order to just conserve the energy that was scarce. And now we live in an environment where we're surrounded by food all the time. Food is pushed on us all the time. And we actually, this is something that I say very seriously, I think we have to fight for our right to move, because if we don't fight, if we don't insist, it's not happening. We can spend all day sitting, do our work sitting, then food is delivered to our doorstep, and entertainment is in our home. We stream it into our living room. So if we do not fight, if we're not deliberate, we're not going to move. It's not going to be given to us. We really have to fight. So if you work from home, or even if you're just, sitting watching a show in the evening, why not, you know, get up from the sofa, get down on the floor, and get back up and do that 5 times? You'll be out of breath, I promise. And you will become aware of all kinds of bodily muscular functions that have been dormant and that you want to wake up.
Wow. And Kim, throughout your journey that you've had, what do you think is the most important thing that you've learned?
I think the thought that I shared before, that you must focus on what you can do now. So never, I mean, it still happens sometimes, but mostly never ask, why did this happen? Who's to blame for this? Um, why does this happen to me? You know, forget all those questions. Ask only one question. What can I do now about this? That's all you need. And I would have raised my kids differently if I had been through all this before, because I remember when they were smaller, before I had all this experience, this brush with illness, I would also, when something went wrong, I would also ask, who did this? Who did this? Who left the on the floor, and who? Now would only ask, no, what can we do now? To about this situation, about what's going on. What can I do now? And when you're raising kids, it could also be that you call one of the kids and say, you pick this up, but don't waste time thinking about why things happen and is it really fair and who's to blame. This is a big one. We always want to blame someone instead
Mm-hmm.
of taking charge of the situation at hand, and then move forward, not look backward.
That's a really big one, Kim. I hope everyone is listening to that because what you said, and I'm glad you went into the example with your kids, is that immediately shows you how you can apply that outside of just, being sick or something like that. But that can apply across everything we do because I think we do get stuck sometimes in a place of like a pity party. We take
Mm-hmm.
and there's a saying like, okay, take a moment to cry about it or be sad, but then get moving, figure
Yeah.
out how we're going to solve the problem, how we're going to. So I think it's similar to that. We really can't. We just don't have the time to waste. Why waste the time on just being stuck in the past of what happened, why it happened, who's to blame for.
Yeah.
So that's a really no, that is a really good one. I love that point. That point. Thank you. Thank you. And besides that amazing point that you've given our listeners, if they don't hear anything else today, I hope they hear that. Um, but is there, just an overall thing you want to leave them with today as we're wrapping up? I can't believe it's been a whole half an hour that we've been talking already. But it always goes fast, especially when there's a good discussion. But you know, um, even if it's something specific to multiple sclerosis itself, but and the people who have it. But is there something overall that you'd like to leave the listeners with today?
Yeah, well, the big one is the one when that I said before. Ask yourself always, what can I do now? There's another thought that I think can be very helpful, because we often, especially women, we often think, the problem is all inside us. It's our personality, our character, our nature, um, uh, that is somehow not right, not adequate, not up to it. And we think that we need a new mindset. If we had only this different mindset, if only we were motivated, if only we're this person, this sort of disciplined person, or this active person, um, then we could do all these things that we want to do. And I want to encourage everybody to turn this mind over matter thinking around just for an experiment and try to go matter over mind. Uh, do the things that the disciplined person would do. Like do just one thing that the person you want to be would do, and then do it again and do it again. And I think by doing, you become the person with that mindset. It's not something that switches in your brain and then all of a sudden you do all the things. No, you do the things first. It can be messy, it can be irregular, it can be not what you think it should be, but you're doing something, and that's how you evolve into that person you want to be. And it's so much more accessible and so much more specific and concrete than imagining that you would need some kind of personality to become the person you want to be. No, just do stuff. Do small things, anything, but do stuff, and then you can become the person who does this kind of stuff.
Okay, I say that's a great place to end this on. So think about what can you do today. Don't worry about what happened yesterday, and then just do it.
Yes.
That sounds good to me. Do it. Don't waste time. So thank you so much, Kim. And I know if folks want to learn more about you, that you have a website as well that they can go to. Is there anything specific you want to tell us about your website?
Yeah, there's a free strength and health assessment on there. What I said before, when you want to find out where you at, if you want to go from A to B, you first want to know which is my point A. And you can take that on there. It will tell you a little bit about how your physical strength and your mental strength sort of tie into your day-to-day life. So it's not an assessment where I say how many push-ups can you do. It's more like, how do you tie your shoes, stuff like that. And once you've taken that, I give you a few pointers on where you can start, what you could start doing, what would be a good point of entry for you to become stronger and leaner and happier.
Well, thank you. So you guys go to the website, check out that assessment, and get started. Get started. Yes. Thank you, Kim, so much for being an inspiration, definitely, because you are. And thank you for being on the show today. It was really great having you.
Thanks for having me, NJ. I had a great time.
Awesome. Well, you guys, this is another great episode. I thank my guest, Kim Rahir. We're saying your name correctly now. I thank my guest, Kim Rahir, for being on the show today. It was a really great show. Make sure you share the episode. Catch us every second and fourth Friday. We'll be here, and I can't wait to see you guys the next time. Thank you so much once again, Kim.
Thanks.
All right, you guys. We'll see you again. And until next time, you guys know what I always say. Be boss.